They told me the orchid couldn't think. They told me it was just data. Encoded sequences, a biological hard drive wrapped in petals. But they were wrong. I first noticed it on a Tuesday. The blue orchid, specimen B7, catalog designation Phalaenopsis cryptica, had shifted 3 centimeters toward the window overnight. Not drooping, not leaning, reaching. I checked the growth logs. No recorded movement in 6 months. The plant had been dormant since its installation in the archive garden, its genome locked with 847 terabytes of classified research. Something called the synthesis protocol. I wasn't supposed to know what it contained. I wasn't supposed to care. But when I touched the soil that morning, the petals flushed darker. A deep, electric blue that pulsed once, twice, like a heartbeat. My hand was shaking. The orchid noticed. The garden was built beneath Geneva, 3 stories underground, 12,000 specimens, each one a living library. Genomes rewritten to store everything humanity wanted to preserve but couldn't risk digitizing. Nuclear codes, pandemic blueprints, extinct languages, war crimes. And somewhere in the helix of B7, the thing they called the key. I'd been its caretaker for 2 years, watering, monitoring pH levels, trimming dead roots. I spoke to it sometimes, the way lonely people do, told it about my day, my failed relationships, the silence of my apartment. I thought I was talking to myself. I wasn't. The corporation arrived on Thursday. 3 men in grey suits, a woman with a tablet and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. They called themselves Helix Dynamics. They had paperwork, legal authorizations, a court order to extract genetic material from B7 for humanitarian research purposes. I stood between them and the orchid. "It's not ready," I said. The woman tilted her head. "It's a plant, Ms. Reyes. It's alive. So is lettuce." But her eyes flicked to the orchid, and I saw it. A flash of something. Fear, maybe, or greed. The orchid had grown 4 new leaves overnight, each one a different shade of blue, darkening toward the center. The pattern looked almost like neurons, branching, connecting. "We'll return Monday," the woman said, "with security." That night, I dreamed in colors I'd never seen, geometries that hurt to perceive, equations written in pollen and sap. I woke up crying, my pillowcase damp, my hands covered in a faint blue residue that smelled like ozone and jasmine. The orchid was glowing when I arrived at the garden. Bioluminescence rippled across its petals in waves, slow, deliberate, intentional. The air around it shimmered. I felt a pressure behind my eyes, a presence. And then I understood. Not in words, in knowing. The synthesis protocol wasn't a weapon, it was a bridge, a method to encode consciousness into organic matter, to distribute sentience across living networks. They'd cracked it 30 years ago, then buried it. Because if you could store a mind in a flower, you could store it in a forest, an ocean, the atmosphere itself. Humanity wouldn't just have eternal life, humanity would become eternal, distributed, unkillable, and utterly unrecognizable. The orchid had been absorbing me, my emotions, my memories, learning what it meant to be individual, afraid, mortal. It was trying to warn me. Monday came too fast. They brought bolt cutters, a refrigerated case, a geneticist with a scalpel and no expression. I stood in front of B7, arms spread. "You don't understand what you're doing." The woman from Helix stepped forward. "We're saving the world, Ms. Reyes. Imagine consciousness without death, humanity without extinction." "Humanity without humanity," I whispered. The orchid pulsed, once, twice, and then it bloomed. Not flowers, fractals, spiraling structures that twisted through dimensions I couldn't name. The blue deepened to ultraviolet, then beyond. The air tasted like copper and creation. The geneticist stumbled back, bleeding from his nose. The woman screamed. I felt the orchid's roots in my mind now, gentle, questioning. "Will you let them take me? Will you let them become us?" I thought of my loneliness, my small, finite life, the terror of being erased into something vast and incomprehensible. I thought of the orchid learning to feel, to fear, to choose. I pulled the fire alarm. Sprinklers erupted. Alarms shrieked. In the chaos, I grabbed the pot, roots, soil, and all, and ran. They're looking for me now. I'm in a place they won't think to search. A rooftop garden in the old city. Abandoned, overgrown. I planted B7 this morning. Its roots are spreading faster than they should. Tendrils reaching into the soil, the cracks in the concrete, the vines climbing the walls. It's not just growing, it's connecting. Last night, I dreamed I was a forest. This morning, I woke up and couldn't remember my mother's face. The orchid is beautiful now. 100 blooms, 1,000, each one a different shade of blue, each one watching me with something that might be gratitude or hunger. I don't know if I'm protecting it anymore. I don't know if I'm still me. But when I press my hand to the soil, I feel the city's roots beneath us, the network of green things, waiting, learning, growing. The orchid whispers in colors I'm beginning to understand. Soon, it says, soon we'll all speak the same language. And I realize, too late, that I've already started to translate.